don't you tell us about what you do? We'll move
What
on.
do I, what do I do?
Mhm.
Um, I do a little bit of everything. I kind of uh, got involved in the um, paranormal stuff years ago when I was like in my late teens, early 20s, just kind of a, wild kid looking for some kind of excitement. And growing up in New England, there were a lot of places around here that were supposedly haunted and that were, back then were easily accessible. Norwich State Hospital is like 10 minutes from me, and
Okay.
it's considered, one of the most haunted places in the United States, if depending on who you talk to. And so we had started going in there, like probably when I was like 19 or 20 was the first time we went in. And that was really kind of what kicked off my like interest in the parent. I mean, I had interest in it before, but that was really what kicked off like me exploring and investigating it. And that like I always had an interest in this stuff from when I was a kid and had um like always wanted to try to find a way to do some of this investigating and research, and that was kind of how it all started. And then that led me back to the woods and kind of searching for Bigfoot also. um and have had some pretty crazy experiences in a few different places. About I think it was a year ago. It'd be a year ago in like 2 months. I think it was November of last year that I was someone reached out to me, and it was a older man who was given my info by a friend, and he lives in northeastern Connecticut. Well, like right on the border of Connecticut and Massachusetts, like literally right on the border. And he was like, I have been having these strange things happen at my on my property for years, on and off. And he's like, I have no explanation for him. But when I spoke about him at work to a friend, that friend said to me, "This kind of sounds like Bigfoot activity." And he kind of laughed it off. As an older guy, like farmer, um, old school, kind of keeps to himself, laughed it off and was like, "Yeah, right, you're crazy." Um, the gentleman, his friend, then explained to him, "My wife is really into this stuff. Let me talk to her and see if I can't get you connected with somebody." And she was a part of my Facebook group. And so that was what led him to me. I started going up there last year, and almost instantly there was like stuff happening. Um, the first time I went was because he finally kind of accepted that maybe this might be what's going on. And it was only because he found a trackway leading from his ATV path into the woods. And they were 17-inch footprints.
Oh wow.
And they were, if I remember correctly, then you can go back on my lives and see this, because I documented it all on the lives. I think they were like 54 or 55 inches in between each print, I think. So a very big stride, right? Um, and there were, oh gosh, I don't remember how many. I think it was like 6 or 7 prints. Um, and then they veered off the soft substrate into the leaf litter. And so you lost the trail. But we like, he called me the night before, and that was when we first talked, and he told me that he had these tracks and it was going to rain. And I said to him, "Dude, get some tarps, get some rocks, cover those tracks. I will be there in the morning." And thank God he did. And they were some really good prints, man. They were very clear, 5 toes, very wide. Like I think they were around like 8.5 or 9 inches across. And what you would typically find with like supposed Bigfoot prints that had that break in the middle, like there was a hump in the middle of the foot, like it flexed, like what they call a mid-tarsal break. The long stride that I couldn't replicate, and then obviously the size of the prints. Now, that all going along with the history that he explained to me over the years of things that were happening on the property on and off. He would have things like tools go missing that he would like, leave something out, would go missing, and then it would come back. It would like his wife's plants, they would like disappear, the pot and all. And then they would come back, and in the pot there would be something different. Like it was like something was taking these things and then like putting something else in the place of the plant. Just weird, random things. Then he has this shed that's at the very back of the property, and it's a big property, and it's surrounded by woods and state forest land. And he's got, I think he's 48 acres, if I remember correctly, 48, 46, something like that. It used to be like 115, but when his grandfather's farm went under, they sold off parts of the land to the state to make some money back. And so they ended up with this 48 acres. Part of that land became state land that was that butts up to the Douglas State Forest in Massachusetts. So he's surrounded by nothing but woods for a very long way. His closest neighbor is like a mile and a half down the road on one side, and I think like a mile on the other. So there's nobody around. It's
That's
an old,
awesome.
yeah, it's beautiful up there too. It's an old rural community. It was mostly farms back in the day, and people keep to themselves. There's no kids, which to him, like that's what he was having trouble with. It's like all these weird things happening that you might be able to attribute to kids. It was very like mischievous stuff. Rocks would hit the house like in the middle of the night. They would like land on the roof. It's what he sounded like. And then he would go outside and he would see these things on the roof. They were like decent sized rocks. And he just, couldn't figure it out. Then there would be like what he described as very heavy bipedal footsteps, like running through the yard. And this was all in the middle of the night, loud enough to wake him up. Right. Oh yeah. And then that shed at the very back of the property, he would hear it like something was hitting it because it's made out of wood. It would sound like somebody was hitting it over and over. And when he finally had gone out and looked, and this was after months of like hearing this like on and off, when he finally went out and looked, the back of the shed, there were all these dings and dents in the back of the shed, and sitting right at the bottom was a pile of rocks. Like something was throwing rocks at this shed. They would hit it and then land on the ground over and over and over again. So it was all these weird things. And it was the first time that I personally have experienced this kind of stuff like in this way. It was as if whatever was going on there, and I'm not claiming to know for sure, but something was, it was as if whatever it was enjoyed having an audience. The more that you went and interacted in its area, the more that you got interaction back. And sometimes it was little rocks being thrown at you, like breaking limbs. There were weird vocals. I've caught those on audio recorder too. Some of the craziest scream, howl things you've ever heard in your life. Like nothing that when I ran through like the what do you call that? The spectrograph.
Mhm.
None of it matched up to any local animal around here. It was on such a crazy different level. It almost looked like it had like two different vocals happening at the same time, which is like, it's pretty impossible uh,
Yeah.
for that to happen. But so yeah, I mean, I've been researching this stuff. I've been fortunate enough to make friends with some really great other researchers. Alex Petikoff, obviously, Mike Lucci, and go on investigations with these guys and camping trips up in northern New Hampshire, the Canadian border, like Vermont. I mean, it's been exciting, man. And then go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say that's really cool. The story that you hear of the rocks bouncing
Mm,
off there and the calls, that's really good because a lot of times you don't hear those kind of stories about from places or
mm,
about places. It's very rare to hear that kind of thing.
yeah. And this was like a regular occurrence. I mean,
Hmm.
we'd find rocks on the roof. He'd hear him hitting there in the middle of the night, and it got to the point where he just stopped getting up because it was like, when it would happen in like bunches, and then it would slow down for a while, and then it would happen again in bunches. And he was like, just got tired of waking up and going outside with a shotgun and like, freaking out. So he just would just ignore it. But he'd go out in the morning, and sure enough, there'd be rocks on the roof. And we're talking like, at some points, he would even say like it seemed like it got them mad when he didn't go outside because he would find bigger rocks. We're talking, rocks that are a foot in like a big, these giant rocks that you and I would never throw on the roof of a house. You'd be afraid it would damage the house.
Oh wow.
Um,
Well, let alone be
and
able to throw it that far.
well, that again, that's the other part, right? This is, he would go outside and he's got motion lights that go off if anything gets close, and these lights wouldn't go off, but the rocks are still landing on the roof, which is telling him that this, whatever this is, or whoever this is throwing these things from probably back towards the tree line, which is a ways away from the house.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And so I was hitting this place really hard, and I ended up getting scared out of there. If I'm just being completely honest with you.
Mhm.
I was out there one day and I kept pushing back. There was this, I wanted to get to this area, and it was very hard to get to. Number one, the brush was so thick and so dense, and it was like tons of briars, tons of prickers. Um, I mean, you would need like a machete or some kind of like, uh, I don't know, some kind of tool to cut through all the stuff. It was just too thick. And then on top of that, there was a swamp
Hmm.
that separated you from this area where all of the audio that I caught came from. These screams, these howls, all that stuff. And it was the northeastern corner back in the woods, but it was back a ways. And I wanted to get back there because I thought maybe this is where these things whatever this is coming from. And I kept pushing further back, a little at a time, little at a time, little at a time. And the last time I was there, I had pushed pretty far, and all of a sudden, there was a limb or a tree that was broken within like maybe 30 or 40 yards of me, and we're talking like a fresh green tree. It was loud as hell. It was big. You could tell. I could never saw it, but I could, you could tell when it's a big tree or branch. This is not some stick. This is like a legitimately large piece of wood, because it's crack, 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 and then snap, and it echoes, right? and I
Hmm.
scared the crap out of me, but I kept going. And again, like another one. And then I hear this grunt, and I thought to myself, like, oh crap, there's a bear. Like, I thought there was a bear there, and there's bear up there. Black bear, usually they're pretty timid.
That
Um,
makes sense. I would agree.
yeah, they're pretty timid. I've come in contact with a couple, and they don't pay. I mean, they'll look at you. They don't really pay you any mind. Like, if you get close to them and make any noise, they're usually running away. They don't want
Oh
anything to do
yes,
with you.
especially
Um,
males, and if it's a female that doesn't have any cubs with it,
right,
yeah, they'll all run away.
right. And so I was like, well, maybe again, just to your point, I was like, well, maybe it's a mother, right? Maybe it's a mom and she's got cubs and she's not happy. So I was trying to be very delicate, trying to see if I could see her, and I had my thermal with me. And I
Hmm.
was scanning and scanning and scanning, and I didn't see anything, nothing. And but I heard this grunt, and it didn't seem like it
Hmm.
was that far away. And um, I put the thermal down or back in my backpack, and I started walking that way again. And I heard what sounded like something take off in a run, but it sounded like it was on 2 feet. Now, take that for what you will. I can't
Hmm.
prove that, but that's what it sounded like. It was heavy, it was loud, you could feel it in the ground even. And then at that point, like I kind of got a little nervous, and I started to like, in my head, I'm going, should I leave? Like maybe this is a bad idea. I don't know if this is, if this is the bear and she's trying to tell me to stay out of here and blah, blah, blah. And, but I convinced myself again, like, you're out here, like, you need to get out there. You've been trying to get out to the spot. Let's go. And so I go further, and next thing I know, I'm being charged. I can like hear it coming, like sticks breaking, like branches snapping, the whole like gamut of noise and footsteps and all of it just coming, 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 and then it stopped, and I'm backing up like as this is happening, reaching for my gun because I'm afraid like there's a bear that's about to come attack me. Um, and that was it. I left and I didn't go back. I've not been back since because it scared me
Wow.
that much. Um, the old
I give
man,
you. Oh, sorry.
sorry, the old man and me have stayed in contact this whole time, and
Hmm.
he still had things happening.
Hmm.
You know, it died down a little bit towards the end of winter. There was some stuff that happened in the spring. It was slow in the beginning of summer. Then some stuff happened in the middle of the summer. Then there's stuff happening now again. And this was a time of year last year when things got really, really like active up there. So my plan is to go back up, probably starting in the next week or so. I think next week I have some time to be able to get up there, and I'm going to see what happens, man. I don't know. It's an interesting place, that's for sure.
Wow. All I can say is awesome to you and awesome for you for going into the woods and moving into the woods gradually and not just staying out of the woods, just to push it.
It's
That's like you go like in the
intimidating.
paranormal now, you go to the noise where the activity you think it's coming from. Absolutely awesome, by the way.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you.
awesome.
It's intimidating, man, especially
Oh
when you're
yeah.
alone. I go out by myself. I don't have anyone around here to do this with. Not when I'm local. When we plan outings to go like camping for a weekend or something, we get three of
Hmm.
us together. That's one thing. But when
Sure.
I'm local around here and I'm just going out on the weekend, I'm by myself. Um, and it gets daunting, man. It gets daunting.
Well, I'd be glad to join you sometime.
I'd love to have
Um,
you come.
I have to figure out what I'm going to do car wise. I'm probably going to get rid of two vehicles and buy a newer one, much newer one. Is my plan. Um, Also in chat, Dwarf Brown wants to join you too in the field.
Oh man, I'll tell you what. He he's
Or Brown Dwarf,
been
sorry.
he's been in some amazing areas himself. He lives out in California.
Oh,
He's been out in the field with Bobo from Finding Bigfoot, uh,
wow.
in like the giant forests of Northern California. I mean,
Hmm.
like some of the coolest places you've ever seen. Yeah. So he wants to come out in the field with me. I'd like to go out there with him.
Uh, I agree. I'd like to do that too. That's California's definitely the place for that. Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Bigger than, no offense, but much bigger than Connecticut or Pennsylvania, where I am.
Well, yeah, but Pennsylvania is also a great area for this stuff, man.
I do have one call or one sound I got that was interesting. I played it on your show.
When you guys were
Hmm.
in
Allegheny National Forest.
Allegheny, right?
Yeah,
Yep. Very interesting, that
that is
sound.
an interesting call. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It's
Um,
and Allegheny is a historically like active area for that stuff. It's on a lot of people's Bigfoot bucket list to go there.
oh yeah. In that regards, I got I'm very fortunate to go there.
Yeah.
I wanted to get there this year, but I don't think it's going to happen now. But certainly next year, I'm going to get some of my friends together, and we're going to make a trip out there.
Oh
Um,
man.
we're going to do
I
it.
it's on
Would
my
you?
bucket list. I've never been.
I'll keep you informed then.
Oh,
You
please
can make
do.
it down to like Western PA, out not too far from Buffalo, for example. Really,
Yeah,
you're only 2.5 hours probably from Buffalo, New York.
let me know, man.
I certainly will.
I would
I
love to
certainly will.
go.
And
Um,
there's a primitive campsite. Literally, I checked on a map. It looks like it's only about 5 miles away. Some kind of state primitive campground you can use, and you
really
can do group camping. Yes, from where I think I picked up the call. I know what road it was, but the only question is exactly where the road. I don't know, but I'm looking on a map. But I do know what road it was, so I know we're roughly 5 miles, or maybe it's just 5 minute drive. I can't remember which one it was, but either way, it's very close, relatively speaking, to where we were.
nice.
Yeah,
Now, when you guys went there, did you did you camp or did you just go out for the night and then go back, like, drive back wherever you were staying that same night, or did you stay out for a couple days?
we drove back to where we were staying
You
that
did,
night.
yeah.
Yeah, and I got mine at that call came in between the 3 and 4 o'clock hour. There was a period of time of 15 or 20 minutes where it was just all kinds of calls were going on. It went from nothing to constant, almost constant calls. There was a brief period of time, and then it started back up for a little bit again.
Dude,
I just had a small sample
you know what's
that I
so
played.
crazy is that so when I last year when I went to this property, right?
Hmm.
Not the time that the first day I went and filmed the first trackway, but I had gone back, like, I think it was like maybe a few weeks later, and it was just exploring because I was new to the area at that point and was just trying to kind of get my bearings right and see everything. And I had hiked into the woods and into this one area and saw what looked like, but maybe like blind, like something had made some blinds in the air. That's what it looked like anyway.
Hmm.
And so I was just kind of poking around and I found two sets of tracks there, the same 17-inch and then another 15.5 inch. And they
Oh.
were both in the same area.
Hmm.
When I tell you these things were probably this deep into the ground, dude, they were so, whatever this was super heavy. And I that was when I left the recorder out. Now I had gone back, I think it was like 2 days later, to pick up the recorder, and you can hear things walking in that area, breaking sticks as they're walking, and you hear me walking during the day when I'm on live doing this, and I'm breaking little sticks. You hear like crack, snap, snap, and whatever. Whatever is walking in that area that night
Hmm.
is breaking large sticks. Like, it's whatever it is heavy. then you hear these weird, like grunting sound, the guttural weird sounds, and which I can't pinpoint what they are. I don't know. Um, and then a bunch of other noise. Something sounded like it picked up the recorder and dropped it on the ground. Something definitely did. I don't know if it
Oh,
was a
gee.
bear in its mouth, but something picked it up, and it was in a. I put it in a dead stump,
Hmm.
and it was a red. It's a red recorder. It's bright red, and I covered it with like a couple leaves, but something found it, picked it up, and then dropped it on the ground because it was on the ground when I went. And then you can hear something like messing with it on
Hmm.
the recording. But after all that, and that I forget what time that was all at, between 3 and 4 a.m. is exactly when I caught the only like vocals that I've ever recorded.
Wow. Isn't that
Was
interesting? The time happens to be in the same hour of the day.
yep, yep.
Wow.
I think if I remember correctly, I think it was 3:27 a.m.
Hmm.
Yep. And it was three sets of these. I, I still don't even know like how to describe it. These like scream, howl. It's nothing like nothing I've ever heard before. Nothing.
Wow.
Yeah. And if you go on the channel and you go way back to last year's 2023, um, if you look, there's a video live that's I think the title is like audio review. That video and the one before it are the videos that will show you the two trackways and then go over all the audio recordings from that weekend. Very interesting stuff.
Okay. I now have it also posted in the upper left hand corner is the QR code to be able to scan to go right to his YouTube channel.
Yeah. Um, if anyone's new and hasn't seen the channel, I've taken a break over the last like couple months, and you know why. You know, Sean
Sure.
actually was
Yeah.
one of the people that reached out to help during all this, and you know, the, I went to investigate some paranormal stuff in the Bridgewater Triangle um, with our mutual friend Mike Lucci.
Hmm.
And I had been there 3 times prior, um, in the Freetown State Forest and a couple other areas. And that Freetown State Forest, every time that I've ever been there, uh, like instantly the first time I was there, I just felt uneasy. I didn't like it. It was a bad feeling to me. Um, and if anybody knows the history of that place, it is steeped in violence and just horrible, horrible, horrible things. Kidnappings, child abuse, King Philip's War, which was the, I think it was I think it per capita, it was the bloodiest war in American soil per capita. It killed more
Oh,
people
wow.
than any other. I think it killed 10% of the population. Um,
Aye.
it was bad. Uh, and there were a lot of terrible things that were done during that war that were kind of against the rules of war, even
You
though
mean
it
against the
was,
Geneva Convention now?
well, I mean, there were always rules, right? Like if somebody
Sure.
surrendered, you don't kill them, right? If they
Yes,
surrender.
correct. That's thought,
Well,
yes.
they, with one of the Native American chief from this tribe, which was the uh, oh gosh, it's slipping my mind right now. Crap, I can't think of the name of the tribe in Massachusetts. It'll come to me. But so this chief surrendered um, to the English, because they said if you do, we will spare your people. Upon surrendering, they decapitated him,
Ooh.
and then they went and decided to like pretty much rape, pillage, and kill all of the people that they could from his tribe. They stole this belt that was supposed to hold the secrets of that tribe, and nobody but a high-ranking tribal member was supposed to ever touch that belt. No, especially not a white man.
Mm-hmm.
And they stole this belt, and nobody really knows what happened to it. Upon that happening, this other Native American who took over as chief, I believe, cursed that land forever. Said they will never prosper here. This land is cursed forever. So you have all that. You have like in the 80s, there was the satanic panic, like all this occult activity, sacrifices. There were like 26 baby cows found in Freetown State Forest that were drained of their blood in like around these occult markings and like whatever. There was multiple serial killings and bodies dumped there. There were suicides. There were, I mean, it was like, dude, if you can find a place that's has more like violent, negative, terrible, dark energy, like I don't know it, but because this place is just bad. And so, and the occult activity supposedly still goes on there. So anyway, we go, well, leading up to this, like 2 weeks prior, it was like the universe was trying to tell us, don't go. Every possible thing that could go wrong did. And I mean everything. I lost my debit card. I had to shut my accounts down. I had no access to my money. Like
Ooh.
it was just this big, it was a mess, man. I got sick, like all this stuff. And then it came time, me and Mike I hadn't been out on a good investigation in a long time. Mike was itching to go. We were like, let's just go. Like, let's just do it. And we go, we get there. The hotel that we booked ends up being this like probably the seediest place that I've ever seen in my life. And it wasn't anyone's fault because online it did not look like that. It looked like a very decent place. When you got there, it was like there were drugs being sold in the parking lot. There were prostitutes. Even the guy who worked there talked about trafficking. Like we were
Oh
like,
my.
so we get there and all this is like, again, the universe is still trying to tell us, don't, you know, you shouldn't be here. But we're going to book another hotel. We'll go, find a better one. We find a nice one. We booked a hotel. We go out and we go to Freetown that night. And it was hot. It was humid. It was very misty and foggy. It was like the perfect atmosphere. We're walking and it's like a 2-mile walk or 2.5-mile walk from where you start the path to where the a sonnet ledge is, which is the ledge at the quarry that is supposed to be haunted and like a lot of activity goes on there. And that was where we were going to start at. So it was like a 2-mile hike. So we're walking and we're laughing and we're talking and we're joking and everything's fine. And all of a sudden, like everything for me changed. It was, and it wasn't like when people say like, oh, you just got freaked out. Like, no, it wasn't that. I physically felt the change, excuse me, in the energy like around us. Like I could just feel it. Everything was just getting weird. It was almost as if like it got darker somehow, if that makes any sense. Like, and that sounds weird, but I had a
I guess it's
spot.
possible. Anything's possible.
I had a spotlight that this thing is so bright, and it was on. It was fully charged, but somehow, like we couldn't see further than like a couple feet in front of us. All of a sudden, was like the darkness just like I don't, just really weird. It's hard to describe. The hair on my whole body was standing on end for like, I don't even know how long, 40 minutes, like just this weird charged feeling. I started feeling like I was seeing things moving in the bushes in the woods. At one point I thought I saw something dart across the path in front of me. Now I'm getting freaked out. I started feeling sick, like physically sick, like I was going to vomit. And then I had this feeling like I had a hand around my throat at one point. Like it was like tightness like around my throat, but it wasn't like just tightness. It was like it felt like a hand was there. It was so weird. It's so hard to describe. People think you're nuts. Then I got incredibly angry. I mean, like rage out of nowhere. And that's not like me. I'm a very mellow guy. It takes a lot to get me angry, and I don't get angry at little things, right? And so for me to be like rageful was very strange. Then I went from like pure rage to crying, like literally crying, for no reason. I was dry heaving, and then like I knew something was wrong, and I said to Mike, "We need to go." I just felt it, like we need to go. I felt like I was being spiritually attacked. That's what it felt like. And so we left. And we get in the Jeep, and I passed out cold. Like completely just I was out. Now, could have been from it being hot and humid. Maybe it was that. I think it was probably a combination of that and whatever the hell else is going on. But me and Mike end up getting into and I don't want to spill personal stuff, but like we got into a big argument, which I regret terribly still to this day, because Mike was one of my closest friends, and there was no need for the argument, but it was like this, whatever this was just hanging there, like it was affecting me in some way, and I just didn't feel myself. I didn't feel right. I felt way off. And then we left and we came home. We stayed the next day still, and we tried to go out to another site, and just, I don't know, nothing, everything was just not working out. And we came home, and when I got home, at first I didn't notice anything. And then it was like a day or two later, I started hearing weird noises in the basement, tapping, stuff that I never heard before. Never. It's dead silent in the basement. Never a noise. Like maybe the furnace, but that's, you know what that is. This was like tapping, like nails on like aluminum. The scratching noise. I'm like, what the hell? Are there mice now or something? Then all of a sudden, like this giant clock in the living room that's like 10 pounds, it's metal, it's 32 inches around, somehow climbed off of its hook and fell onto the floor.
Wow.
Nobody was up there at the time. Then there's a baby seat on the other side of this wall in the basement that's on a shelf, and the shelf is 5 feet long, about 3 feet from front to back, and it was pressed all the way up against the back, and it was leaned against the wall. Somehow, that baby seat walked itself from the back of that shelf off the front. I don't know how.
Wow.
I have no explanation for this. Then
You don't happen to have
there's
security cameras in your house, do you?
no, not in the basement. No.
Okay.
Then a bunch of these hangers with clothes on them, heavy jackets, big sweatshirt. I'm a big guy. I weighed like 280 pounds. I was like 6'3", so my sweatshirts are heavy. A bunch of these hangers with my big heavy sweatshirts were knocked off of this pole and onto the ground. Probably about 10 of them. Again, I have no explanation for any of this. I started having the worst luck in the world. Like, again, all these things that could possibly go wrong. that could like ruin your life for a time definitely did. I got really sick. Um, it was just all this crazy stuff, and finally I came to this point where I was like, man, I really should maybe like start looking into the fact that maybe I brought something back with me. And we talked about it briefly. You gave me some great great coaching on what to do. I reached out to a couple other people to try to help with that, like doing blessings and praying and all that stuff. And it took a while, man. But finally things started to kind of go back to normal
That's
slowly.
awesome.
And it's finally at the point now where I feel like, whatever it was, I don't think it's here now. I haven't had any weird noises. There's nothing, definitely nothing falling off the walls or climbing off of things. Um, but it was crazy, man. And while I believed in it, um, and I always did believe in it, I guess there was a part of me that kind of was like, it's not going to happen to me, right?
Sure.
You just feel like it could happen to somebody, but it won't happen to me. I'll be okay. Um, and again, I can't say for sure that's what was going on, but I just don't have any other reasonable explanation for the things that were happening.
Can I ask, do you think you have any abilities, even if it's just empath or the ability to feel, like if there's a spirit around you and it's sad or whatever, to be able to feel that kind of thing? Do you think you have
Well,
anything like that?
I was told years ago that I am an empath by a medium that I used to talk to, and I didn't understand it then, but it makes perfect sense, right? So, like, just like really quickly, I have always had a very, very strong connection with animals, like very
Hmm.
strong, to the point where, like, if I see an animal, like especially stray, like I can feel what they're feeling, if that makes any
Wow.
sense. Like it's so weird, right? But and as time went on, it was the same with people. If there was a person who was around me that was like a negative person,
Hmm.
it would affect me without me even knowing it. It would affect me so deeply. Like it would change my mood. I would get tired. Like that negative energy, just like it would mess with me. And it was the same with like if people were sad or going through something, I could feel it instantly.
You
And
need to come on with. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
I just never understood it.
Mhm. Well, I think you need to come on with Lorie on the show with Lorie sometime on a
I would
Saturday.
I would love to.
Lorie Johnson is a friend of mine. She has a show on here, which I'm also on as a co-host or whatever. And Lorie Johnson was on the show Ghost of Shepherdstown. She's
Yep.
the real deal. I don't put that out there as psychics, and I have very little faith in psychics because everyone that claims to be a psychic is really trying to impress you when you're in the paranormal world. So that's just how it is. But she's legit. She said a lot of stuff about me without any help, even. That's the amazing part. And she will say, "Don't help me. Don't tell me. You're telling me too much." And when I think I'm not, I didn't even tell her much. She'll say, "That's too much." She's good, really
That
good.
that's the sign of a legitimate psychic is when they're like,
Yes.
nope, nope, I don't want you to lead me on with anything.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, I
Yep.
would love to, man.
You have to sometime. Um, we'll be on TikTok this Saturday. She's gonna somehow share the rest of us to her TikTok to go on off of her TikTok feed. I think. I'm not sure how she's going to do it or how it works, but hopefully there's a way to do it. I don't have a clue.
Hmm. Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, she has a decent number of followers on TikTok.
Well, I would love to come on, man. I would love to be able to meet her and talk to her.
Are you free?
This Saturday?
Yeah,
What time are you going on?
between roughly 7 o'clock, a little bit after 7 o'clock
I
to
think
about
so.
9. It'll go roughly to about 9 o'clock.
I th-
You,
I think I think I'm free this weekend, man.
because you really should. She can talk to you about your situation a little bit. She'll probably pick up on your situation. Almost guarantee it.
Let's do it then. Let's
All
do it.
right. Um, I can send you her TikTok account. You have a TikTok account, so you can sign up for TikTok.
Yep.
All right. I'll send you that TikTok account. And if you don't mind, I'll send you my piddly TikTok account too. If you
Of
don't mind,
course.
like mine too. Has maybe, oh, we got to 100. On mine, I got to 100. She has like 9100.
Dude,
So,
I don't know how many people follow my TikTok. I think I've posted 3 things on TikTok ever, so don't even worry. It's probably better than mine.
I've tried, and it's hit and miss. That and YouTube Shorts to get people to watch them. It's big time hit and miss. Sometimes I think it's going to do well, and it doesn't do well. It never does well when I don't think it's going to do well. But if
Right.
it's even the ones I think are going to do well sometimes suck. Don't get picked up, which could be my fault too. Don't get me wrong, because I don't understand it. That's part of the problem. Part of the problem is the operator, just like anything else. Just like my computer probably is the operator. Actually, why it's not working. I'm going to take and just. I've decided I'm just going to do those shows. I'm going to record those shows. I'll re-air this episode for this week in paranormal, but it's going to be. I'll just talk about myself, and I'll put my voice segments in, and then it'll come out, and I'll use editing software. It'll be just fine. And I don't know what I'll probably keep doing that for the future. Because Chad has to work. He won't be able to come on anyway. So it's not like I'm cutting Chad off. And yeah. So if you're still out there, please help if you can help us out. We'll post the QR codes a while. Um, if you're from my channel, check out. Oops, come on, stay up there. There we go. In the upper left, I have Kyle's encrypted connections. I just have Kyle's encrypted because it's too many letters to put encrypted connections. So it's Kyle's encrypted. Not enough. I can't put it up there completely, but there we go. To check out his YouTube channel and to check out ours at CPI-ParaWorld. Right there, we're gonna have a show with, of course, like I said, we're gonna have with Lorie Johnson on, and we're also gonna talk about missing people. There's a missing woman I'm gonna get back into, checking out who's nearby me. I want to get back into that. Tracy Crow, we're going to try to find where she's buried. Even if I can't
Really?
prove it to the police, we're going to try to do that. Yes. Oh, yeah. We're going to do that. We started out doing that a
Oh, I
little while ago.
love that stuff, man.
Would you?
I
She's good at that too.
love that stuff, dude.
Lori's good at that too. And I have a, the likely murderer is in jail, not on murder charges. Well, actually, he isn't. He could be. He also murdered somebody else, so he's in trouble there.
Really?
Yes, the property belongs to him and his son. His son owns major property there. And what happened is he killed the son's mom. So now the son is a little more lenient. I have to think, do I just try kind of trespass, even though I don't like to do that, and with Lori on the phone and try to find it, or do I try to contact the guy and see if he'll let me come on? I'm kind of thinking more or less just do it and ask for forgiveness, because if I don't damage anything, he'll probably just let me go.
Yeah, I would
And
probably do it that way.
yeah, I think there's a good chance I will have a no answer if I ask.
Yep.
Oh, by the
Make
way,
sure if you go though, you don't go alone.
that's the problem. I gotta find someone to go with me. That is one minor detail. Yes, I know.
Yeah, don't do that.
I'll have to figure that one out. That's the only problem.
And
We're up.
this is by you.
Yeah. Um, this murder occurred just north of Harrisburg, and I live a little bit northwest. I have to cross Susquehanna and just go a few miles north up State Route 147 and come to small towns. And outside the one town is where he lived at the time he committed the murder. The state police believed he did it at his garage or body shop. He actually had a body shop, not a garage, excuse me. And it turns out we didn't find too much to go there. It didn't quite match Lori's description. but she did give a description that the guy's property that he lived at the time could match it better. And they did use the house that's at the body shop. He used to live there at one time, from what I believe, and then it became mostly an office and pretty much an office location, I think. But he hasn't been in business for a long time. And the victim's father, worked for him, so that's how she got to know. She knew who it was.
Okay.
The story is she got pregnant. She went to him after he got her pregnant, and then that's when things ended. And her car was driven to another town square, and the seat was back, so it couldn't have been her driving it there.
And what's her name?
Tracy Crow.
Tracy Crow. Okay, I'm gonna look
Yeah.
this up.
You'll find a number of stuff. Like I said, I have an address off another road to check out, and then get a hold of Lorie, make sure she's available, and go there and film myself there and see what she says as we're going.
Yeah, that sounds amazing.
And then we have another person to go after too.
Really?
Oh yeah, there's a girl who disappeared, went to a bar named Courtney Stauffer. She disappeared from Palmyra, just east of Hershey. Everyone's heard of Hershey. And what happened is, she just went poof. What the belief is, yes, in Pennsylvania, is that according to Lorie, she thinks it was like a dating app thing that didn't go well. That's her thought.
God.
And finding her would be much more difficult because she can give me a description, but we don't have a limited area because we don't know a perp. We have no perp at all. So with no perp, figuring out where to look for her would be probably very, very difficult.
Right.
I would need a major description miracle, pretty much, to tell you the truth. But if I can figure out a place in Lebanon County, that's where I will go.
Man, I love this stuff, dude.
Too bad you're not nearby.
Oh my God, I would love to go.
It'd be freaking awesome. I am not disillusioned. I don't think Dauphin County is going to take a chance and dig up this third or fourth location. They've already dug up 2 or 3 locations. So I don't think they're going to dig up a third location for Tracy Crow. But at least it would be interesting if she said it. And she has had history too of finding a woman as well.
Really?
On her TikTok, yes. She said a woman was in a van or under a van or something, and she turned out to be there. It's one of the videos on her TikTok page. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, she's good. I mean, really good.
All right. We definitely need to do this. I need to talk to this lady.
All right. I know you had to go at 8:30. We're already past 8:30 a little bit.
Yeah, I got to get going, buddy. Unfortunately.
I got to go anyway, as well. So, hey, if everyone, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Sorry, my technical difficulties. I'm gonna cut that first part out, and I'll redo the This Week in Paranormal episode. They are good episodes. Trust me. When things work, I'm just gonna record them from now on. And thank you for understanding. And I wish it went better. Live is so much more fun.
Oh, I love the live.
And less work too. Much less work for me as well. All I gotta do is record the 3 special segments. Is all I had to do, really. So I don't know. It is what it is.
It still went well, Sean.
It did. I'm gonna cut that part off, and then you made a number of clips that I am gonna have to cut and re-release separately because you said some hell of a good stories, several of them at least.
Oh, that's good.
And normally I don't do that. Normally I don't do that. So you told some heck of a good stories, by the way.
Oh, I'm glad I could add something to the show, man.
I'm glad you were able to come on with us.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, man. This was fun. I can't wait to come back on Saturday.
Yes, Saturday on TikTok. Hold on a second. If you don't mind, just one moment. Let me see if I can find her. I'll post stuff for her TikTok here. If you guys don't mind. Yeah, I only trust 3 psychics. One's not doing it anymore, to the best of my knowledge. Maybe he got back into it. And the other one, ironically, was my first co-host of the shows I did at the other channel.
Oh, okay.
Is this the right account? There's several accounts, so you gotta be careful, make sure you get the right one. Here we go. This should be the right one. Yeah, this is the right one. She might have dropped followers. Yeah, she lost a few followers for some reason. All right. Okay, I posted in chat the link to Lorie's TikTok account. That's the account we'll be broadcasting live from on Saturday night at 7 o'clock.
Awesome.
If any of you are interested in going there, we'll probably do some mini readings. We'll talk cryptids, paranormals as well. It's not just readings. We do a little bit of everything, and hopefully Kyle will be on as well. And
I'll be there.
Cool. All right. Well, I'm going to take it out a while. I want to thank everybody and consider all the good stuff I'm supposed to say, liking, subscribing. Let's see if I have all that crap here. I know I gotta try to do that here. Wait, here we go. There we go. Got it out there. And it's free. All that good stuff. Thank you. Blah 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 blah. All right. That way I don't have to say it. Thank you. We're gonna head it out. Good night.